Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. The North Nashville pastor, Bishop Marcus Campbell, was a leader in the community and an advocate for at-risk youth. After a difficult early life that included prison time, the Nashville native dedicated his life to uplifting the community and getting young people out of gangs. He was pastor at 2 churches and co-led organizations dedicated to guiding youth away from a life of crime. Bishop Campbell died earlier this month. He was just 49 years old. Later this hour, we'll talk about his life and the legacy of his work with people who knew and loved him. But first, health data breaches are a growing problem across the country. WPLN's health reporter Catherine Sweeney joins us to explain why your data is valuable on the black market and why experts are raising alarm bells about cybersecurity threats. Catherine, thanks for being here. Welcome back to This is Nashville.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Really great for you to be here. Okay, so let's begin with the simple question first. Are we seeing any major security breaches here in Middle Tennessee?
Yes.
Wow. All right. So tell me, why is this data worth stealing?
So the specific numbers vary, but experts really say that personal health information and health data like this, it can be up to 60 times more valuable than just your basic credit card information. If someone gets your card information, you can just call your bank and cancel it, right? You can call the company and lock your card, but it's a bit harder if they get your full social security information and your birth date and, your next of kin, all this other stuff that's in your medical records. And then the worst case scenario, people can get a hold of these records that are compromising, and they can blackmail the people who are affected here, get them to pay a ransom to protect their data.
So that's damage on a person-to-person's basis. What can happen to a community?
Well, in a ransomware attack, so if hackers break into a hospital, they can take over the whole hospital's information infrastructure. And it's typical for a hospital to shut that down to try to mitigate that damage, or for the hackers to shut it down, until the ransom is paid. Because hospitals are so digital these days, that can mean major service interruptions. And this is something that I was struggling to understand reporting on this story. I didn't really get it until I started writing about data breaches. I saw so many stories across the country saying hospitals and clinics had to shut down operations during the hacks and that it really affected care. Joey P., the Murfreesboro Clinic CEO, he explained this really well on a WGNS segment earlier this year.
If you think of an X-ray, the most people will think about, maybe even from going back to an old TV show where the doctor holds up the film to the light or he puts it up on the light board on the wall. Doesn't happen like that anymore. It's all electronic. It's all digitized to where we could have probably taken an image, but the radiologist couldn't have interpreted it. He or she could not have gotten those results to whichever physician or nurse practitioner ordered it.
Yeah. So, I still see on TV, even now, them throwing those screens up on the light board. And so I didn't picture this kind of thing. And that is the kind of interruptions in service that can happen. There's a pretty notorious case out of Alabama. Some of the testing and monitoring that would usually be done during a birth, it wasn't available. It was something like that. And the baby died. So the family ended up suing the hospital.
That's horrific.
Yeah, it's horrible. And again, on a community level, researchers studied a similar shutdown in San Diego, California. They found that it put a major strain on the surrounding hospitals because the one that got attacked had to shut down and those patients got diverted everywhere else. So that meant even more delayed care for the people who were going to the San Diego hospital that got hacked, and then also the ones around it.
So tell me, why is this a growing problem?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. So the Senate Homeland Security Committee held a hearing on this recently. One big problem is hackers are getting better at what they do. So it used to be the stereotypical online criminal you'd see, in movies, some guy in a basement, but it's getting more common for hackers to be associated with foreign governments or organized crime. They're more sophisticated. again, hospitals and health providers, they're all getting more digital. They're leaning more on technology and stuff that has to be connected to the internet to just administer your health care. So, there's a lot more vulnerability there with so many third-party contractors and cloud services and, again, internet-connected devices. It's expensive to build out cybersecurity infrastructure, and it's expensive to hire talented IT staff. That's especially true for small and rural hospitals. Kate Pierce, she's a health cybersecurity expert. She testified in that committee hearing before the Senate this year. And she said all hospitals are struggling since the pandemic, but especially those smaller rural ones. They often just don't have the money to take care of security the way they should.
Nearly all the staff in a critical access hospital or a small facility wear many hats. They don't specifically focus on cybersecurity. And with the competing priorities that we're now seeing in healthcare, it's very difficult to focus on something that is not required. If I had 10 things to do today and I knew that 2 of them were mandated and required for me to do, those are the things that I'll focus on.
Yeah, so they just have a lot of different jobs. This is a hard one. They're not required to do it really, and it's expensive.
We will be paying close attention to this, as I'm sure you will as well. Catherine Sweeney is WPLN's healthcare reporter. Catherine, thanks for your reporting.
Thanks for having me.
We have to take a short break. When we come back, we'll learn more about Bishop Marcus Campbell and the impact he's made on the community. Do you remember Bishop Campbell? Tweet us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ecolona, and this is Nashville. For some, the late Bishop Marcus Campbell was a symbol of what makes Nashville special. He was a pastor at 2 churches and a co-founder of the youth support program, Gentlemen And Not Gangsters, aka G.A.N.G, a 12-week mentoring program aimed to help youth who are currently affiliated with gangs. He dedicated his life to ensuring that youth and young adults had an opportunity to succeed and support to help them overcome any hardships they may have endured. He knew these hardships well because he had faced them himself. A drug-induced near-death experience set him on the path to ministry, but before all that, he was just a kid growing up here in Nashville. My next guest knew Bishop Marcus Campbell his entire life. Derrick Strode is the executive pastor of the church at Mount Carmel, and he joins me now. Derrick, thank you for being here and welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you for having me, Khalil.
My condolences to you and the community, my friend.
I appreciate it, brother.
You both grew up together, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Take us back to that. What was life like for y'all back then?
Man, I mean, for that moment, we actually just had a chance just to be kids. You know, it was our grannies, our mothers knew each other. We lived literally right across the street from each other, later around the corner from each other. And, you know, just we were our own family, our own little clique, our own little fun time. We grew up through all phases of life as kids. I mean, it was just fun. It wasn't anything to worry about. It wasn't a trouble. It was just living, having fun, and growing up.
What are some of the things y'all used to do for fun?
I mean, anything we could. We were notorious for getting whoopings because we were very mischievous.
Okay.
Whatnot, but I mean, we would just do stuff to have fun. You know, all the technology wasn't there, so we go outside, we just play, we make things out of things, cut up on each other, you know, just. What was so ironic, we'd always get in trouble at church for imitating people that might be shouting later on for us to end up being the preachers and so forth.
You know, I understand like Marcus was about 5 years older than you.
Yes.
Did you look up to him like a big brother, kind of?
Yeah. And him and my big brother, they were like 1 year apart. He had 5 years on me, but many times I would defend Bishop instead of my brother. Like I remember one time I was like, no, don't whoop Bishop, Marcus, as we call him then, or whatnot, whoop Tony, which is my brother. It's crazy, but we were just super tight.
Yeah.
That's all we knew.
What does that mean to you to kind of look back at those times of happiness being a child, growing up with your, real close family?
Yeah, I mean, it's special, it's surreal, it's invaluable, because a lot of people, even as adults now, like some people can only see you from what you were or what you were at this time or certain things that you did, Everyone just can't love you for where you're at or where you're headed to. So we did have that unique relationship. We had seen each other in all kind of different phases of life, highs and lows, but we also had like a camaraderie and just loving on the community and the youth.
What you're talking about reminds me of agape love, like loving people
literally
fully.
Yeah, like truly unconditional.
In the sermon series Testify, Bishop Campbell shared his personal testimony. He shared that his father had been abusive to his mother, so at age 3 or 4, he was sent to live with his grandmother. And he talked about how that affected him. Let's listen.
I had so much anger on the inside of me, not understanding why this man that's my father didn't want to be bothered with me, let alone that he would treat my mother the way that he did. And I grew up with this anger, so about around the age of 11 and 12 years old, I was selling heroin and cocaine to adults about a block over from my grandmother's house. And done it because some of the guys in the neighborhood, the older guys, those guys is who I looked up to. They were my male figure. They was like a father to me.
Marcus, he faced hardships that a lot of people didn't know about. Did he talk to you about what he was going through?
He talked to me. I mean, he definitely shared all of those things because we've been at the same church together forever. And I kind of found out about some of those things coincidentally because of my own run-ins. And, that was a big turning point. But for what happened to him at 3, I wasn't here, so I had just got here probably around when any of those things could have happened, but definitely not having fathers in the life was something that we shared at different points in time, and it was a big thing when he went to his father's funeral to see, this man that looked so much like him, in that casket and so forth, and he just really wanted to help fill that void through other youth not having to experience that, not to become their fathers, even though a lot of youth look at him that way, but just to show that like a man can genuinely just give you love.
You alluded to the fact that you also experienced some difficulty and you and hardship, but you understood where Marcus
it was a different angle. Like I stopped selling hardcore drugs because of Bishop. He was Marcus at the time, but I'd actually brung him something thinking he was gonna distribute that to someone else, but it was for himself. And that just kind of crushed me because it was my family that, it never seemed, it doesn't really hit home until it's at home, but then at that, totally took me away from that because I didn't want anyone to experience that like I felt it because it seemed like it was okay. You think as a kid, well, we're just out here getting money, but no, it was something that was destroying my family.
So when it hit home like that, did you talk to Bishop about that?
No, I couldn't find him then. He was gone. Okay. I mean, like, he was when he said he was out there, he was. If he was, in the streets, he was in the streets. If he was on drugs, he really was on drugs. But he knew that, and he knew that I found out, and we both did. And it was just things we grew up through. Like it didn't matter because we were so embedded in our brains to just look at each other as family. Like. You just get through things. It's not like something that you hang over someone's head forever, especially not if you plan on moving forward together.
It's kind of that essence of forgiveness. And, as I was reading a lot about Bishop and who he was, forgiveness and kind of looking past someone's misdeeds in the past is what he was all about.
Bishop had a very special ability to look past your crazy and find a way to love you. I don't care if you're a child, an adult. It could have been somebody that he knew was talking about him just a few moments ago, slandering him, lies, whatever else. But instead of dwelling on that or making that a thing or putting his energy that way, he will find a way to love them that same way that he had for the youth. But he dealt with adults like that because Bishop becoming the pastor, you got to realize we grew up in the church, and he was a lot older than some of the members that were still there. So now this child is now your leader. So everyone couldn't grasp and lock into that the same way, but he still loved people anyway.
Now, he had a near-death experience caused by drug use.
A couple times.
When you heard about that, what was going through your mind?
I mean, everything seems so surreal until, it's just so or whatnot, but I was just glad that he made it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't there, like, by his bedside when that happened, but, he did tell me about it, because, like, he'd be there, like at church, or dealing with the church, and then he'd just go out for a minute. But it was one of those last times. After that, it's like he never looked back. And his whole thing, like, later down the years of his pastoralship, he was really locked into just wanting to die empty. And what he meant by that was like, whatever I got inside of me, I want to put that out. Any love I got, anything that's God put inside of me to give to somebody else, he would even say, I want to love the hell out of people, He wasn't saying that like to curse. He was just saying literally like, I'm going to love you so much that however you feel about anything else, that's just going to have to disappear because the only thing you're going to get from me is love.
Overwhelm them with the power of love. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Ekolona. We're talking this hour about the life of Bishop Marcus Campbell, a man who dedicated himself to the youth and the community. Did Bishop Campbell have an impact on your life? Tweet us at This Is Nashville. Now, my next guest also knew Bishop Campbell. Shaunese Gleaves is the director of Evolving Excellence, where Bishop Campbell was a board member. Shaunese, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me, how did you meet Bishop?
I can't remember exactly, but it was a little bit over 10 years ago, just doing work in the community, and a couple of friends had took me, Michael, he's here, they took me to meet this guy named Bishop Campbell. And we just kind of just clicked from there. Like, I was young and starting out doing my community work, and he was really coming into being the pastor of the church at the time. And we just clicked. And it was just one of those things like, he supported me, I supported him from day one. And I'll come up and be like, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do that? Or if he was trying to do something, we just clicked. We just met through some mutual people, and was tight from day one.
So how did it feel to begin on your journey of giving back to the community and service, right? Yet you meet this other person who's also starting out on their journey, yet you have this connection. You're like kindred spirits in support of the people that you love. How did it feel for you to meet him there in that time?
It was amazing. Just to have somebody that you really don't know, but you become like family, like instantly. And he supported me from day one. Although he was a pastor and I was a member of another church, he didn't look at it like, well, you need to go to your church or you need to go to your pastor. He just looked at it like, we're doing this for the community. So the support was kind of overwhelming because you really have somebody who really, really supports you with it was no strings attached. It was nothing but doing this for the community, the love of the community.
I understand that back then you were mentoring a young group of girls in a group called Jules. Tell me, what was the focus for that?
The focus for that was to just give girls some positive guidance. Just, from my background and my, some stuff I dealt with growing up. I just wanted to give girls an outlet and somebody that they could come to, and a place where they could come and have somebody to talk to and vent to, and just somebody to be there for them and love on them.
I also heard that you and Bishop, you kind of accidentally started a summer camp.
Yes.
Tell me about that happy accident.
So one day, But I had came across the little free lunch program. And so I went to Bishop and I said, well, we can provide some free lunch for the kids in the community. And he was like, okay, let's do it. And he opened a church to do it, but the kids would come and eat, but they wouldn't leave.
Okay.
And we didn't know what to do with the kids. So we would just kind of start finding little stuff for them to do, activities and work and stuff. And then Derrick and different people from the church, they would come and help us out. And we just it just started from there because they would come and they wouldn't leave.
They wouldn't leave. They needed something to do.
Yes.
And y'all found a lot of things for them to do. Tell me, how has the camp grown over the years?
Oh my goodness. It has blew my mind. I think they do over 200 kids.
Sometimes. Yeah, not this year. We've been a little lighter, but yeah.
Wow.
Full capacity, 200.
200 kids.
Yeah.
And I understand it only costs $25.
One time.
One-time
If
fee.
you got an extra child, $5.
Wow.
And I used to even tell him, and his wife, we need to go up higher on this. It needs to be this and that and whatnot. And they were just, kind of locked and set on that. But it always worked. Like, Bishop always looked at the need that was there and then did it. Mm-hmm. He didn't do it based on whether or not there was a grant in place, whether or not there were other people that would align. He was like, if I got this building, I got the energy and the strength to do it, we're going to do it. But since it did start getting a lot of attention, there were a lot of people every single year that would just give and contribute to where they would have a good summer every time.
It sounds like this type of person has got to have an incredible rapport and effect on kids. Somebody with this type of love and magnanimous, being a magnanimous person. Shaunese, tell me, how did he relate to the kids that y'all worked with?
The kids loved him. He was just like he was saying, he was like a father figure to a lot of the kids. Maybe you could look at it like an uncle to some of the kids. Like he was really like a big, lovable guy for the kids. So the kids loved Bishop. They loved coming to the camp. They loved coming to whatever he was having at the church. They loved Bishop. Mm-hmm. He was just the nice, friendly, happy, go-lucky guy. So he just attracted the kids.
Did you learn anything by watching him relate to the kids and the community?
Yes. I learned a lot. Like he was saying, that love that Bishop showed to everybody. Because, over these years, I've had to grow a lot and just him just loving and accepting me and my craziness and always just being there. Like he taught me what that love really was. He showed it. A lot of pastors and people, they preach about it, but Bishop really showed it. So that's what I learned and I took from him.
How important is that understanding and seeing real, tangible examples of love? Because, a lot of people will listen and say, oh, that's so wonderful what you all are doing, what you all have done for the community. But, you were talking earlier about how the bishop wanted to be empty himself. But it's hard to do what y'all are doing every day, going out there to do that. How did that example of love help sustain you to get up every day and to do this work for the community?
For one, it has to be in you. And all I can say is that love is what makes you get up. Even when, when we started the camp, it was free. We wasn't getting no grants, no money or anything. So to get up every day, to come and sit with people's kids every day, and we might not know how we getting gas money to get back home. It's just this. It's just this love that's embedded in you to want to get up and do something, because it's the impact on the children, making those children happy, and understanding that a lot of parents have to go to work, and so they need this. And Bishop was just one of those type of people to open his doors for the need.
Mm-hmm. How do you want the legacy of Bishop Marcus Campbell to live on? Like, what do you want everybody listening, what do you want people to know about the work that he did and his approach to the community?
That his work was pure, It was from the heart. It wasn't, he didn't do anything. He didn't do it from my perspective. It wasn't, he didn't gain anything from it. But he exemplified that love. He exemplified the Christ-like love that we're supposed to with the church and the community. And I want his legacy to just be remembered as that, as he was love, and he showed it.
And I mean, I want his legacy to not only be remembered, but remain active. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that was the thing. You know, everybody would come out, like, even down to his funeral, like, all kind of high-level people from the spiritual industries or, you know, whether it's professional, whether it's political. Everybody had great things to say about him, but very, 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 very few people actually come and support what he's doing, whether that's time, energy, effort, or resources. You know, like, to keep his legacy alive, it's not saying, hey, you're doing a good thing. It's like, hey, come put some feet on the ground with us. You know, like, spend some time with some of the youth. You know, be there to be something else. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just a travesty that he took on all of that, and, you know, like, we did what we could, but he got up every day to do it because also no one else would. But that didn't sit well with him. Like, it was actually literally preachers that would say, man, you good, that couldn't be me. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's just their mentality. I mean, Pastor Stevenson had came by to our church for the conclusion of a revival, and he was like, some churches, it just really stuck with me. He said, some churches are big, but they have little ministries. We're more of a smaller church with a big ministry. You know, and it's just about doing it for the right reason. Mm-hmm. And really, it's infectious. Like, what people really don't get, what really keeps you going, it's like when you can help change a child's life, you see them being better, growing, going on, averting, because you have no, idea how many vigils we've been at, how many funerals of young people. Like, there was a time when we were going to a funeral every week, and I mean, this was like months and months and months. Yeah. And we can't save everybody. It's not our job to save them. It's our job to be a good example to where they're going to do things not to put themselves in harm's ways and be there as like some guardrails if they do get off track. But people just got to come and show up and align, because it isn't about us. It's about making sure that we do everything in the present for a better future for everyone.
You know, Shaunese, tell me, how will you take this experience of working with, knowing, becoming family with the Bishop? How will you take that and kind of imbue that into the work you do in the future?
I am going to just continue the work that I do. One thing, Bishop always kept me encouraged, even when I'd be like, I don't want to do it, or I'm tired. Or I'd be like, well, they're trying to do what I'm doing or something. And he'll just be like, well, you know, Shaunese, you're anointed to do this, so keep doing it. He was just always good. And so because of him, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep my ministries going. And then I'm going to also get back with the summer camp. I ain't gonna say I stepped away, but, you know, life. Mm-hmm. And so because of Bishop keeping his legacy going, because of all of that, I have to keep his name. I have to keep his legacy going by putting in work, not just talking about him, not just, oh, I love Bishop, but showing up and actually doing the work that he did.
Shaunese Gleaves is the Director of Evolving Excellence and worked with Bishop Marcus Campbell for years in the community. Shaunese, thank you for being here and telling us about Marcus. Really appreciate it. Derrick Strode will stick with us through the break. When we come back, we'll look into the work that Bishop Campbell has done and the impact he's made in North Nashville. Did you know Bishop Campbell, and how did he influence your life? Tell us and tweet us about it at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back. I'm Kaliole Colonna, and this is Nashville. This hour, we're remembering Bishop Marcus Campbell, who died earlier this month. He overcame a difficult adolescence in North Nashville to become a pastor at 2 churches and the co-creator of the youth advocacy group Gentlemen And Not Gangsters, also known as G.A.N.G. My next guest worked alongside Bishop Campbell and G.A.N.G. and had his own life transformed by the Bishop work. I'd like to welcome Kenny Clack to This Is Nashville. Kenny, thanks for being here. I'm sorry for your loss, my man.
Thank you so much.
Now, you worked with Bishop Campbell in the G.A.N.G. program, but I first want to know how you both met. How did you two come to know each other?
We got a basketball court across the street from the church. It's called Monroe Park. So as you know, the church is on Monroe Street. Mm-hmm. So the church is right across the street from the park. So I was already doing what I was doing with the basketball stuff across the street at the park.
Well, tell me about that. What were you doing?
Like really basically bringing kids up there, bringing my brother Breedlove, brother Derrick. We'll bring kids up there, play basketball, really kind of like outside mentoring. Really what these guys been doing, I just came along the way and joined their group. They already was G.A.N.G. Way before me. So once I got with them and started seeing what was going on in the church, I started walking from across the street and going over there to the church. So as I got to know the bishop, you know, we got cool, but I would have never known nothing about the bishop really if it wasn't for Gus. Because Gus was already deep in Mount Carmel, and it's crazy I say that because Gus was already over there, but Gus is a part of Monroe Park Brotherhood too. So I started going over there talking to the bishop myself. So we had a lot in common. We knew a lot of people. We knew a lot of different people. And we actually growed up across the street from each other and really didn't even know because he was a lot older.
Yeah.
But my brothers that's older than me, they know about him. So I started going to the church. I became a part of the church. 2017, Easter Sunday, he baptized me.
Wow. What was that experience like for you?
I never experienced, cause I went to church when I was younger, but then as I got older and started getting into the street life, it was really over for church. I ain't have no need for church. So as I got out of prison from doing 13 years, 9 months, and that was part of my life change right there. And I was like, I got to do something. I got to get all these evil spirits off of me. I got to get all this old stuff up off of me. I need to be a new person. So I never really told nobody that but him, because I didn't want them to look at me as a certain type of person, because I got a name in the streets and I want to live up to that name.
Yeah.
So I really just talked to him about, he was my mentor too. So, you know, I talked to him about a lot of stuff. He was like, if you want to get baptized, you just let me know and we'll put everything together. So I had went on and made up my mind, and I was like, called him one day. I was like, I want to get baptized on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
So, you know, in regular baptism, you get dipped one time. Boom, they bring you up. I got dipped 3 times.
Okay. Did you ask for that?
I think I did. I think I probably did, or he must know I needed to get it up off of me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It is. Yeah. So they dipped me 3 times, and like, you know, he changed my life. Like, he helped change my life. Besides my kids and my family, like, he was a big part of. Like, here, when a lot of people didn't want to deal with me because of my name and who I was and my background, he didn't look at me no different. So he gave me a chance. I had a one-on-one with the mayor, Megan Berry, the first ever lady mayor. I had a sit down with her at her office. I done talked to councilman people. I done helped a judge get in office. All this stuff because of what I learned from him. I didn't know these people.
Yeah.
These people wouldn't have never known nothing about my name is Kenny Turner, but in the streets they call me Kenny Clack.
Okay.
And a lot of people wouldn't have known nothing about me if it wasn't for Bishop.
Now, I want to introduce my next guest. Is a young person who was mentored by Bishop Campbell, like the kids who go through the G.A.N.G. program. Elder Michael Breedlove is the assistant pastor at Divine Faith Praise and Worship Center in Clarksville. Michael, a.k.a. Gus, thank you for joining us. Welcome to This is Nashville. Now, tell me, what was your first meeting with Bishop like?
Man, my first meeting with Bishop was actually random. I was doing gospel rap at the time, and we had to do a watch night service or whatnot. And this is when I first started gospel rapping, because that's all I was doing. That's how I started. And we did the song. I met Bishop. And after that, we just clicked. It was just automatically, like, he saw that not only was I just a young man really just trying to, like, chase after God, because that's what it was. Probably like 4 months before that, I just came out of a trunk of a car, you know what I'm saying, dealing with the streets. So it was like running into Bishop. He kind of helped me, like, channel my anger, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, because I was angry, you know what I mean? I wasn't like how I am now, laughing, funny, and charismatic and all that. Like, I wasn't like that at first. I was just more so of a stubborn, didn't want to listen, knew a little bit about God, but he saw the calling that I had on my life, and he just started diving into it,
What were some of the things he was saying to you at that time, particularly like when you first meet? You're angry young man. Like you said, 4 months from coming out of a trunk, still angry, dealing with the traumas and effects of your past.
Right.
What did he say to you that really struck you in your soul?
He gave me the best analogy that, like, I still use today, like in church. He was like, giving your life to God is just like going to rehab. It's a one day at a time thing. And a lot of people, they have this process in their head that, after you get baptized or after you join the church, that automatically, like, your life is just going to change. You have to understand that it's a process, and you got to take it one day at a time. That was like the best advice. So every day I woke up, I just, I lived that day for that day. And then things just started changing.
And then you, over the years, got into the ministry yourself.
Yeah,
got in. What was his inspiration in that?
He was the inspiration. He was the inspiration. Like, I remember the first time I wrote my first sermon, and he read it, and he was just like, "You're a natural." He said, "You're gonna be all right." And I preached, and after that, it's just, everybody called me Gus. You know what I mean? I was his youth pastor for a long time. I've served under him as his associate pastor at his second location. You know what I mean? And through him, I've met so many good people. Like just like Kenny saying, he wouldn't know Bishop if, he didn't know me, but I feel like I wouldn't have the relationship with him if it wasn't for Bishop. I wouldn't have the relationship with Derrick if it wasn't for Bishop. These are my brothers. These are people that I don't probably talk to every day. But at the same time, like, we all know, like, we locked in for life, and we owe that all to Bishop.
Now, Derrick Strode is still with us. What do you remember about Michael, a.k.a. Gus, when he first started working with y'all?
Man, he was crazy. He really didn't like me that much or whatnot. I mean, we were, like, fine and cordial and all of that stuff, but real spunky guy, loved to go get on the basketball court. Like, basketball was just where he was at. You know what I mean? Like, did, like, really working with the youth and all of those kind of things. And, like, that was just a big deal, like, for him. But I liked him, you know what I mean? I'd always, like, kind of just try to call myself dropping some nuggets on him or whatever and all of that or whatnot. But it was just, it was cool. He's my brother, but, he was, 10 years younger than me, I think, or whatnot. So, I try to let some hindsight be foresight and so forth, but it was just, like, he was a cool dude to me, and the more and more we stayed around each other, the more that things, just kind of took off, and then that bond just got greater and greater.
If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Ekalona. We're talking this hour about the life, work, and legacy of Bishop Marcus Campbell. My guests are Derrick Strode, Kenny Clack, and Michael Breedlove. You can tweet us your comments at This Is Nashville. Now, Kenny, you work with the program gang. Tell me about the group and the work that you do for them. I understand you may need a minute, man. You know, I understand this. I was reading over, what do you say, about 1,000 people showed up at his services?
It was a lot.
Probably even more than that, you know, but which he deserved that presence and outpouring. But I mean, he was just a real good dude. Like, I mean, like, we're trying to, you know, we're doing this interview, going through and doing all of that, but like, no, like, people are hurting. Like, his wife is hurting, his mother is hurting, his family. He was a father. You know what I mean? Like, kids that he's impacted, like, he made ministry make sense.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean? People that would never want to do anything dealing with the church or anything else, like, he showed you, like, realness no matter what. And because of, like, everything he had to deal with in life, he still was able, you know, to relate to anybody no matter where they were at, because he had been through all of that. Like, a lot of kids, you know, would come in there and they feel, you know, a certain kind of way or think that nobody understands them and all of that. But then, you know, he could, or Clack could, you know, he could give that rundown, you know, on life, really how it was, really being in prison, really being out there in the streets, being on drugs, and, you know, like, all of those things. But still, like, looking past all of that, just, you know, getting to only just focus on God or letting that be the most important thing. Like, he demonstrated that.
Yeah.
And you just can't really replace that. Like, everything that he touched that he wanted to end up happening, that God put on his heart, somehow or another, it always worked out.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had the odds stacked against us. We ain't getting nothing from the city. We ain't getting nothing from here, there. It didn't matter about none of that. All these churches said, great work we doing. They ain't showing up helping. You know what I mean? It was him, whoever would be around at that time, and just getting in there and doing it.
So
But
through his love and dedication, he was making miracles happen.
man, I was making the miracles
real
happen.
life.
He was just yielding, just,
In
you know,
real
he
life.
was just yielding to, like, if I'm doing this and God really got this on my heart, it's going to work out. I don't have to figure that part out. We got to show up, be present. Like, that's his vision, engage, equip, and building. Like, that's what he wanted. Like, his slogan is, we love you and it ain't nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and you.
It ain't nothing you can do about it. You can be mad about it, you can cuss me out, you can not be my friend, but all I got to give is love.
How would that? How can you tell me? How would that when he said that to kids? You know, I worked with kids who grew up in gang life in Los Angeles. You know, and sometimes you could say something to them. They could be very upset and emotional, like kids should be, about the trauma that they experienced. But you say something to them, and you see that light turn on. When he would say that to kids, what would their reaction be that you saw?
I done seen kids in an actual fight at camp. I'm talking about fist to fist fight.
Yeah.
Bishop walk up, he'll change the whole spirit. He'll change everything. He ain't got to do nothing but walk up, make his presence, and he'll tell you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Anybody, grown folks, kids, older folks, I never seen nobody like him.
Gentle giant.
I never seen nobody like him. I never seen him mad. Never seen him upset. Like, he just tried to help everybody. Like, that's why all the people was at his funeral like they was. A lot of people not gonna get that when they pass away. Not like that. He was really for the kids and the community. And other pastors at his funeral was letting it be known that we got to step up as churches. We got to step up as churches. Nobody in Nashville never did what Bishop Campbell done.
Period.
Nobody. As soon as the tornado and COVID hit at the same time, his church was so filled up with hygiene, food, cat food, dog food, baby wipes, Pampers, cereal, milk. Anything you can name at a store was at his church.
And we was hit with the tornado.
Inside and outside. And we was even hit with the church.
Yeah.
We was even hit with the tornado at the church. Roof Whole roof sinked in the back in the kitchen part.
But you're still there through his leadership, helping people out.
Absolutely.
From night and day.
Yeah, we got the little camera things on with the lights, not the camera,
from
but
night
just the
and day.
flashlights.
And you got to understand, some people didn't have nowhere to stay at. He banned gift cards, hotel rooms. Christmas, you put 20, 30 families in a hotel for Christmas? You name me anybody who done did that. 30 people that 30 families that you've never met in your life?
Yeah.
Only time these people probably seen you is on the news. He's totally different.
And speaking of that difference, I understand that he didn't want to even really be publicized in the media.
No. That farthest thing from
He used
him.
to try to get us to go on the news.
Yeah.
I'm telling him, I'm like, I can't be on the news and do what you do. I can't be no preacher. I can't be no pastor. I can only be your journeyman. So we are all Bishop journeymans. You asked me the question when how did I join the G.A.N.G program. So I actually came to orientation one night and seen what was going on. And at orientation at G.A.N.G, all the kids that come and be a part of G.A.N.G, you got to pick your name out of a coffin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Orientation. Your family sitting on this side, all the G.A.N.G members sitting on this side.
And you pick your name out of a coffin. That's deep.
Once Derrick call your name, you got to come up, walk to that casket, and get your name out of that casket, and look in the mirror. The head part of the casket where your head lay at, the mirror is right there. Bishop Campbell gonna give you two options. You either go change in 12 weeks with us and get off of probation and do what you got to do for your family, or you gonna wind up in this coffin. So he didn't want to see no kids in no coffin. He tried everything in the world, his power. I wouldn't have never been able to go in no juvenile to talk to nobody. Come September, G.A.N.G program got to be back in juvenile court. So we can deal with the kids that's in detention.
How do y'all want this work that he started, and obviously y'all ain't letting go of?
No.
Y'all are keeping it going.
Sure.
How do you want this to live on? How do you want this to affect everybody who's listening right now? How do you want them to take the experience of this absolutely heavenly human being who Bishop Campbell was? How do you want them to go forward and take a part of this work?
I mean, like you just said, take the experience. Like, we've been trained for this. He gave us the blueprint. You know, it's nothing really should change because his legacy speaks for itself. None of us are trying to be Bishop. None of us are trying to act like we are Bishop. But like you said, like, we understand that this got to go forth. I'm from North Nashville. He's from North Nashville. He's from North Nashville. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not that we just focus on North Nashville, but we all from poverty. We all from places and, you know, things that we're not proud of. So at the same time, like, how dare we not continue? Because he pulled us out. So it's like, that's what he would want. And to the people listening, man, like, if you know Bishop and you love Bishop, like, come by the church, help out, donate something. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a community. It takes a village to raise a child. And sometimes, you know, with Bishop being so gone, with Bishop being gone, like, those shoes are big to fill. And it's going to take all of us to fill those shoes. It ain't just going to take me, Derrick, Kenny, Sister Shaunese, you know, his wife. We all have to, like, pitch in and do this job because he had a vision, and it was plain and clear. It's about saving these kids, and it's about saving God's people. And at the end of the day, everybody is God's people, the just and the unjust.
And people gotta also understand this. Bishop passed away in the middle of summer camp.
Right.
We still got kids that's this small that don't even know Bishop's gone. He took care of babies.
I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for coming on here and honoring Bishop Marcus Campbell. My guests are Derrick Strode, executive pastor at Church at Mount Carmel, Kenny Clack, journeyman with G.A.N.G, and Elder Michael Breedlove, assistant pastor at Divine Faith Praise and Worship Center. Thank you all for being here and letting us know more about Bishop Campbell. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for your loss.
Bless you, brother.
Thank you so much.
We love you, Bishop.
And thank you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of WPLN News and Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Magnolia McKay. Our senior producer is Steve Harouche. Michaela Elias is our technical director. Our executive producer is Andrea Tudhope. The masterminds behind our theme music are Laurent and Amir Blade. Special thanks to Miss Clemmy Greenlee. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. The conversation doesn't end here. Tweet us at This Is Nashville. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and let us know what you want from our show by filling out our quick survey online. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil Ekolona. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. And be real good to each other.